Great Divine Mother, come on in. Things have gotten so weird here with the passing of every day. We knew very early on that we were different when we incarnated here. And with the passing of every day, we are coming to understand why we're here, carrying out your mission, and we are standing strong. We love you, great Divine Mother. I really love that song. I always forget the lyrics when I'm doing this thing impromptu, but like I said, you just kind of keep going. Today, I am here in Mcclatchey Park. Mcclatchey Park holds memories for me throughout the years. It is located off Piedmont, right across from Atlanta Botanical Gardens, in a very affluent neighborhood. I used to play a lot of tennis. Let me just walk this way and show you over here. I spent many a day here. It sort of reminds me of when I was coming into consciousness and changing my diet. See the tennis courts, 3 tennis courts here. You know, every day after work, I would meet a different friend here. And, you know, you had to get here in time so you wouldn't have to wait too long. And then you couldn't play but so long because people were waiting. And so it holds a lot of memories for me. I wanted to talk about 2 important people in my life during that time. After, you know, receiving that diagnosis and still wanting to be healthy, live healthy. And I would come over here after work and leave here just drenched in sweat, you know, having to bring extra clothes so you wouldn't, you know, mess up your car. But anyway, I wonder if you all are familiar with Golden Ra Beetle. I can't even remember how I met him, but he was very instrumental in my life without even knowing it. He was a Princeton graduate. He had lived abroad and had taught at a very high level ancient Kemetan history. He is what will be considered a priest. And he was an excellent tennis player. You know, people get confused when they can tell that we're gay or whatever, and you think, you know, maybe they don't know how to play sports, but that is a lie. He hit a mean tennis ball. And when you play tennis, you always want to play with somebody on your level or above. And so while we weren't competitive when we came out here for exercise, you know, we chased the ball down in 1 bounce, now wait for 2. And so we got a great workout out here. We didn't do a whole lot of talking about our sexuality. I think, looking back, that he did have he was in a relationship at that time, and he seemed to be very happy, even though he was very attractive. I just kept it all about tennis. And people who know me know that I'm like that. You know, my sexuality doesn't define me. It just happens to be a part of who I am. But anyway, I think at that time I was a little bit depressed because I had finished my first book, couldn't find a publisher. And one day I mustered the courage to mention that to him. And so he also seemed like he's psychic in a way. But at that time I wasn't living a pure and clean life. And so he told me of a ritual that I should do. He said, every day for 11 days, for 11 minutes and 11 seconds, I want you to do a meditation. And in that meditation, on your altar, use a white tablecloth, white candle, And so I went about buying all those things and set about doing that meditation. I happened to live over here by the park at that time, right across the street from the park. I think that's when I was writing my dissertation. So I had to buy about 25 books, other than the ones I checked out from the library, to brush up on the subject so that I could write well about it. And so all of that was going on during that time in my life. I'm not in touch with him. I did later learn that he had done a presentation for other gay brothers about HIV, and I was disappointed that he still believed in HIV. I think he was mostly talking to them about being responsible in sexual practices, which was a good thing. But still, you know, I'm all about the simple science, that there is no science to prove the existence of HIV. And it has definitely been a part of the Black eradication program. There's no science to prove its existence by means of classical virology. It is about genocide. It is about manipulation and domination and control through sexual fear. It is about profiteering off the suffering and death of innocent people, as well as stimulating world economies. And we already know that I believe at this point it's probably about 37.1 million people who have been slain to bogus HIV. And I would have thought that being a Princeton graduate, he would be more aware of that. But anyway, he's a good person, and he was always hitting that mean tennis ball. And I love that. I love tennis. And then the other guy I wanted to mention, who we played over here a lot, he calls himself Dauguet. He was an odd kind of a character. Painted fingernails, long toenails, and I used to be marveling at how he could run back and forth, hustling down a tennis ball with toenails. Now that I know more about us being monstrous souls, I believe that is in him as well. We used to work up a mighty sweat over here, and usually I would drop him off at the train station. But anyway, I hadn't seen him in many years. When I left Atlanta and moved back to my hometown, I ran into him in the library. And then I noticed a pattern that as if he was hanging out at the library. So I knew that, like most of us during that crisis, had employment problem, trouble. And so it's even though I eventually learned that he did live in someone's home with them in Montgomery, he hung out a lot at the library. And I wonder if he's still around, because I would send my new presentations to everybody on my email contact list and never had heard back from him. So people who hang out at libraries, homeless people, people who don't have stable living environments, they are subject to being snatched up on the streets, like has happened with my friend Charlo. And I hope that he is okay. You know, we try to keep up appearances when we're going through hard times, and he was always well dressed when I saw him. But he was so interesting a person to talk to, because he wasn't your run-of-the-mill kind of a guy. And I hope that he is doing well. And that leads me to my next topic. I do have a little bit of a list here. Welcome Kuluni Caney, and I have to carry him with me for protection of that Eye of Heru. I like to have that around. But anyway, Black eradication. Again, I'm continuing to ride around this city and recall past years and see the changes. And even in the understanding that death is good, and that those people who were murdered are probably in a better place. But while we are here, we want to be aware of what is happening so that we can protect ourselves, protect our melanin, protect our health, to be able to fulfill our mission and purpose of being alive here. And I don't think any psychopath has the right to deceive and murder us. And so, on yesterday, I passed by an underpass under a bridge, and I took pictures there and posted about questioning whether those homeless decoy clones, which we have learned have been implanted, wake up from sleeping there overnight and then go to their stations with their handheld signs to continue this deception about black eradication that is happening within the city, but distracting people who are driving by to think that, well, there are still a lot of homeless people about, and unemployed people. But again, they are decoy clones. And when people drive by, they're asking them for money. People will sometimes donate. And then they think, they've done their good deed for the day. Not realizing what is really going on with the eradication of our people in every major city and even in the suburbs. When you ride through, you can notice closed projects, having learned that those are cloning centers. I hate to keep speaking about that, but I don't hear a lot of people seemingly concerned. And so I'm going to keep mentioning it. I also want to mention today my book, and ask that you buy a copy. I am happy to report that sales do seem to be increasing. There is no HIV, the Rainbow Warrior, exposing the truth about HIV, antibody testing, and the metaphysics of self-healing through chakra and Kundalini awareness. I think one should be on every shelf. I think it should be in every language, because every person can benefit by having that lifetime resource that is not just about bogus HIV, but is about self-healing and current issues affecting highly melanin people. It is a resource that is scholarship, that has highly melanin master teachers in the bibliography. Also, a major reading list. But I also do want to say that we have learned that a lot of the books we read were not the whole truth. And so some of those books on that book list that has, I believe, over 100 books on it, can help guide you if you're just waking up. I did have to let the website go. I feel bad about that. I didn't have that surplus of money to reinstate the website when it had canceled, unbeknownst to me. However, Impromptu Nebthet's musical has everything pretty much that was on the website that I personally contributed to the website is again in Impromptu Nebthet's musical. Back before I actually started singing and was just posting information globally about the facts of HIV and HIV descent. So, please order my book. Any internet seller can provide the book. It's not available again from the website anymore. Even though we make pennies when you self-publish on a book that costs $21.95, it still can save your life. I have found in the past that Mama Nebthet does draw people to my work via the internet, and then they typically contact me. I guide them to resources, give them a good pep talk, and urge them to order my book, whether they do that or not. But I can tell you, it is also documented in my presentations that when people find me and they don't listen, I later learn that they are no longer here. That's not a judgment. It's just an observation. So, please share the book with people you know who are impacted by this crisis. And I hope to be able to teach more and do more speaking engagements. So, please contact me about that. I am open to doing that. Okay, here I am again in Mcclatchey Park. I'm going to go ahead and close down now. It's such a quiet and beautiful day. I hope that you are having a wonderful day and you'll continue to have a great week. I am Dr. Damien Q. Laster. Here's that B again. verifying that I am working for the social order. Dr. Damian Q. Laster, Metaphysical Science, a.k.a. Kabir Amin-Ra Anpu Asarset Harakti, the Conscious Doctor, Rainbow Warrior, busting up bogus HIV, healing the sacral chakra. Tomb. Ra. Goodbye.